à fond dans les cours, là. Enfin, quel mec assidu, même en vacances.
C'est pas.
Baby, when I look in your eyes, I can see you as a child. The river gives us every good thing, and then it takes it all away. Don't take me away from you. Don't take me away from you. I feel like I knew you then, when I was a little boy. I spent my days imagining
It looks like it goes all the way down.
the shape it would all take, and now it takes the shape of you. Everything takes the shape of you. Oh, my source of love and fear. If I could lose them, could you be different? Could I let the river take me? Will you take everything that I have? I'd give it all up to you and him. She watches me close from the stars, and she whispers your name in my heart. And the garden we'll build for ourselves, and the kids that will grow where we plant, and the truth that we'll find when we lose, and the nothing I want without you. Everything was left in the shadow. Everything you thought you had. Nothing is close to permanent. For a month I sat in my sorrow. Another month of hair trigger pull. Nothing is really permanent. Is there a way we can find purpose every
Sarà perché ti amo.
Costa mediterranea, che è una miscela agrumata, però c'è anche del rosmarino un pochino più aromatico.
He rode in on a horse named Trigger from a town just east of the Mississippi River, and saw her standing there in a little blue dress. She was the prettiest girl he never did see. But she almost wouldn't let him buy her a drink, 'cause her dad said ace high girls don't talk to cattle hands. But she took his arm and then when they shared the sweetest kiss, he brought his pipe up to his lips and said, all the stars in the eastern sky couldn't bring me back. But he left her in the morning without a goodbye or a warning, all alone with a broken heart and missing flags, and a soft spot for cowboys and lone jack. She swore off men and cursed his name, 'cause the stars, they never look the same as the night she spent laying on his chest. The townsfolk just gave her pity, so her parents found a boy from New York City, and she had no choice but to say yes. But even then, she couldn't forget when they shared the sweetest kiss. He brought his pipe up to his lips and said, all the stars in the eastern sky couldn't bring me back. But he left her in the morning without a goodbye or a warning, all alone with a broken heart and missing flags, and a soft spot for cowboys and lone jack. It was the day before she was about to leave on a train eastbound through Tennessee, when she stopped in that bar just one last time. It had been some change in 5 long years, but it nearly brought her to tears when she looked up and met his eyes. They
Ti fanno scordare le parole, confondono i pensieri, ogni dramma è un falso.
Inside of time, there is a sense that goes beyond our little brains. All is lost. Could you believe me? I turned away just as the lines beyond my shadow hesitate. All is lost. Is that such a bad thing? I let it go. Watch as the world turns without my officious way. Between ends, you'll find me here. Inside your chest, beyond compare.
터치.
This shit is off.
Every time I sit and wonder how the story came to be, I hope that I can still remember the pride you watched all over me. I'm so mad this time. It's not at you, no. It's not at you. My words don't feel right. Is it real now? Is it still too loud? I would have followed you through anything. You were the closest friend I had. Could I have saved you from the end? I'm so mad this time. I'm mad at you now. I'm mad at you. My world don't feel right. I wanna see you. I need to see you. Tell me you're fine. Did you see that my hours past midnight? A shooting star's light. I know it's my friend, and I'll see you again.
Thank you. A Bruna vai ficar tão feliz em Indonésia.